The Whispering Shadows. The small town of Ravenswood was shrouded in an eerie silence. Nestled deep within a dense forest, the town had long been forgotten by the outside world. The few who remained were haunted by whispers of a dark past, a history they dared not speak of except in hushed tones and only when absolutely necessary. One such resident was Emily, a young woman who had inherited her grandmother's decrepit old house on the edge of town. It was a house with a history, a place where shadows seemed to move of their own accord and the walls murmured secrets to those who would listen. Emily, ever the skeptic, dismissed these stories as mere superstition. One cold autumn night, as the wind howled through the trees and the moon cast long shadows across the floor, Emily sat in her grandmother's study, sifting through old letters and photographs. She stumbled upon a journal, its pages yellowed with age. Curiosity piqued, she opened it to find entries detailing strange occurrences. Objects moving on their own, ghostly apparitions, and, most disturbing of all, the whispers. The entries grew increasingly frantic, her grandmother's handwriting becoming almost illegible. The final entry sent a chill down Emily's spine. They come at night whispering my name. I can feel their breath on my neck, see their eyes in the dark. They want me to join them. I must not listen. A sudden noise jolted Emily from her reading. She glanced around, her heart pounding. The house was silent, but she could feel a presence, a cold breath against her ear. Brushing it off as her imagination, she continued reading. As the night wore on, the atmosphere grew heavier, the air thick with an unseen menace. Shadows seemed to dance at the edge of her vision, and the whispers began. Soft at first, barely discernible, they grew louder, more insistent. Emily tried to ignore them, but the words became clearer, repeating her name over and over. Desperate to drown out the noise, she turned on every light in the house and blasted music from her phone. But the whispers persisted, weaving through the melodies, growing louder and more urgent. Panic set in as the shadows closed in, wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. She grabbed the journal and ran to the attic, hoping to find some clue, some way to end this nightmare. As she rifled through the dusty old boxes, she found an ancient-looking book bound in leather. Its cover bore a symbol she didn't recognize, and inside were incantations and rituals written in a language she couldn't understand. The whispers were deafening now, the shadows closing in. Emily's hands trembled as she frantically flipped through the pages, desperate for a solution. She found a page marked with a familiar symbol, the same one on the journal. It was a banishment ritual. With no other option, she began to read the words aloud. The shadows recoiled, and the whispers turned to screams of rage. The house shook as a violent wind tore through the attic. She continued reading, her voice growing stronger, more determined. The shadows writhed and twisted, the whispers turning into agonized wails. With a final, desperate scream, the shadows exploded into nothingness, the whispers silenced. The house grew still, the air lighter, the oppressive presence gone. Exhausted, Emily collapsed to the floor, clutching the book to her chest. The next morning she awoke to the sunlight streaming through the attic window. The house was quiet, peaceful even. She knew the darkness was gone, but the memories of that night would haunt her forever. She packed her belongings, leaving the house and the town of Ravenswood behind. As she drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing the house for the last time. For a brief moment, she thought she saw a shadow move in the window, but she shook it off. The whispers were gone, but the shadows would always remain, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to awaken them. I hope you enjoyed this horror story. If you need more or any other type of story, feel free to ask.